Wednesday afternoon home buying seminar. We talk about all things buying homes. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a trade-up buyer, we're here to help you get what you want done, get it done efficiently, productively. I'm Bill Gross, I'm a real estate broker here in Los Angeles with my colleague, oops, wrong way, that way,
Patricia
Castillo, and our friend and lender, mind you down below. Good. Do you have a name?
Gustavo. This is Gustavo here, guys.
That was an introduction, and you're supposed
to
we do this once in a while, and we do this every week on Wednesdays at 5:00. We have some fun and talk about all things real estate. So, interesting times in the real estate for the last few weeks, and then all of a sudden there's no drama today. Gustavo, no drama on the interest rates, no drama for a couple of days. What's going on?
Yeah, no, nothing. Yeah, I think everything's kind of status quo.
Nothing.
I think that'll be good. Yeah, I think we're all kind of maybe waiting for the news to come about inflation for November numbers. So I think we got another week or so before those come out. But I think everything's staying still. Rates have gotten better, so that's good.
So I know for me, I wrote an offer on a property that the seller we're just below full asking price, all cash. Usually at about 5% discount. There's about 2% discount from the list price. So I didn't respond. It's been 2 days, and the agent's trying to get the seller to accept it. I have another one where we unsolicited offer. A seller didn't respond for about 10 days, so we're off market. So I know there's buyers out there looking for property. So the market's not falling apart. It's not crashing.
It's not falling from the sky.
No. It certainly is not. I mean, I don't know that it is as intense and active as it was. It's certainly not as intense or active as it was 6 months ago, but it's still pretty active. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, we had a lot of buyers come by our open house. So Gustavo and I hosted that open house in Bell for that new listing I took. And I've been getting a lot of calls on that. A lot of buyers came through that were renting in the area. And so we were doing like a live home buyer workshop because there were so many people that wanted to know how to qualify, what they can do to get out of their rental scenario. And so both of us have been tag teaming and following up on all of these prospects so we can help them create that path for them to homeownership. And, aside from that, I'm working with some other buyers that are looking for commercial properties and retail spaces. So that's a different market, but it's still, very busy right now. And there's people that need to buy are active and they're aggressively looking for homes. And people that need to sell are selling. So it's a good time right now to sell as well, because you do get ahead of that spring market competition and you'll have more eyes on your property. You went away for a second.
I'm playing with cameras. I have some new equipment, so I'm trying to have some fun with it a little bit. Trying to be like a director or producer of a news show. Trying to up our game here, Patricia.
Right?
So yeah, so people are active out looking for properties. Gustavo, are buyers still as diligent on getting pre-approved and following up on the paperwork, or do you find I find them a little lax in, maybe the seller will accept the offer kind of thing. No, you still got to do your job, and this is your opportunity to step up. What do you see?
Yeah, no, I think that's always going to be that consumer behavior of those individuals that are, trying to get you those documents. I'm chasing about 2 or 3, just like you mentioned. But I think maybe they think they're buying some time by maybe waiting a little bit, that the rate's going to keep going down, because, I called them today and I said, hey, we had a good day today. Rates came down. So as soon as you get that offer in, we'll be able to lock you in. It's a good time. And I think in their mind is like, well, maybe I'll just wait another month or so, but that house maybe not up for sale anymore, and more competition and all those things can come into play. So there's definitely still pushing going on that I need to get a hold of those documents.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's part of the job that distinguishes you from the average lender. Average is probably good enough the last 2 years, but I don't think average cuts it today. You need a lender who's going to follow up on those documents and get the customer on board with getting them in to get the offer accepted. If they want to buy the house, they got to do the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to stay up to date with everything and make sure that the information that we're receiving has updated dates on there. It's not from 3 months ago or 4 months ago. It's, a bank statement from last month. And
Yeah.
pay stubs are recent as well, not from, a few months ago. We need all updated information. So we're being very careful with checking to make sure those dates are all updated and we have the most accurate information. So that way we can provide that accurate approval, right? Because I'm collecting some information, I send it to Gustavo and, he reviews it. And so we kind of work together and go back and forth with the client to make sure we're getting all of their documents in order.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point. One of the borrowers that I'm chasing down on a separate deal, they gave me checks from October. And I'm like, we're about to start December. It makes me nervous when the last checks that you have and you sending me are October. Is everything okay with work, So I become that first line of checking and make sure everything's good, right? Whether it's they're currently employed, nothing's changed, there's no change in hours, bank statements look good, all these things, right? In order to get them into the right place. So I feel like sometimes, buyers think that maybe like I am the big institution, right? That I'm against them in some sort of way, when in reality, I'm here to help them and to make sure that we have everything in line so that we can get the loan, so we can get the house. So the more information you tell me, the more upfront you are about what's going on with your situation, the easier it is for me to tell you whether, we can do a loan or not, or we need to restructure it.
As a listing agent, when the paperwork's not in order, I just know it's gonna be a tough escrow, and nobody
Right.
wants to be in a tough escrow.
Nobody.
One of the rules I've learned is deals never get better; they only get harder or worse.
Yeah.
And so, when somebody starts off, the paperwork's done right, there's a pre-approval letter, and there's documentation, and there's proof of funds, and you call the one, I know it's going to go better than if it's October pay stub.
Right.
And you call the loan officer, yeah, everything's great, but the pre-approval is dated like, it said it's March. Have you updated the guy? Oh yeah, no, we have everything. I just know it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
And I make them go through the steps now, because if they won't get the pre-approval updated now, it just gets worse when we accept the offer. And so I think it really helps you distinguish yourself. Good.
No, yeah, definitely. And even when we, I make sure that I tell my clients as well, even when we do that pre-approval, I tell them, this is for a home. So if you're looking at a condo and they have HOA fees, that's going to change it. I got to add $200, $300, $400 to your payment. So that's going to change things, I mentioned a couple other things too. If there's like flood insurance, I'm thinking a traditional home insurance, right? Maybe it's $90, $100 a month, but if you need to get flood insurance, you need to get fire insurance, all these things for that property and the location. Now we're talking about $300, $400, $500 more that I need to account for. So you may have that pre-approval, you're going to go make that offer, but if I don't know these things ahead of time on that property, then we're going to have an issue as well. So constant communication and being able to know what property you're going for is definitely the key.
So,
one of the other, I'm sorry, Bill, were you going to say something right now?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that sometimes when you're working a lot of overtime, your job might be seasonal. And so you may be working a lot of overtime in the summer, or you might be working a lot of overtime, in the winter or in the spring. And so when that happens and it's not consistent throughout the year, then the lender will look at the average of what your work hours look like and how much income you're bringing in.
That's right.
So that's really important too, because if you made a lot of money in the beginning of the year and now we're at the ending of the year and you're getting pre-qualified, you can't necessarily count on just all of the income that you were making at the beginning of the year, because now it has to average out to what you're actually making today.
Yeah.
Last month.
Yeah, no, and a perfect example of that is a teacher, for example. That's one of my clients right now. So they're getting paid 10 months out of the year. So they may have a salary where it's 80,000, and people go, okay, 80,000 divided by 12 is how much they're getting a month, but we need to make sure that, hey, they're only getting paid 10 months. They're not getting paid for that 12 full months of the year. So that's going to drop their monthly income, and like you said, overtime, commission, bonuses, all those need to have a history there. So if we have the history, no problem. But if all of a sudden now, you did get a bonus, you can't come to me and say, hey, I just got a bonus, it's an extra $5,000. I'm like, yeah, but I can't count that. There's no history of that. That probably won't continue. So there's a lot of these little checkpoints that a check stub, a W-2 will be able to help confirm for me. And even then, I end up doing a verification of employment where the employer can actually divide everything out by, this is your base, your salary, or your hourly. This is overtime for the year. This is commission and bonuses. And that was this year, last year, and 2 years ago. And if that's not, if that doesn't show a history of it, then I can't count it. So there's a lot of things besides just calling me up and saying, hey, I make $10,000 a month. We have to break that down.
Yeah, so
Because at the end, it's the details. Those numbers are going to make a difference.
Right. Yeah. Whether your eligible income is 5,000 or 6,500 bucks, that $1,500 difference, that could be the difference of you trying to get that house in the right place that you want because of the loan amount. So
there you go. And we don't want that. We don't want to find out you finally find your dream home. It's available and you can't get it because your paperwork isn't right. You misunderstood something. Or we want to follow through and get it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you see, I know we talked when the rates were jumping up quite a bit. I know that we were at that time talking about adjustable loans, temporary buy downs, longer term buy downs. Do you still see that happening now? Or is that not as have buyers adjusted to the rates and just going with what's available?
They've adjusted to it, but with the market still, on the seller concession side being there, there's definitely more activity there. So seller concessions or ARMs, it doesn't take a lot in order to help on those seller concessions to buy down the rate temporarily. So we're talking $10,000 to $15,000. And usually that's pretty achievable if they're going to get any kind of concession. And if I have a loan that is getting a 6% rate and we're going to knock them down for the first year for 2 points, that's a 4% payment that they're going to be making that first year. So it makes it really an attractable offer to be able to have that short-term buy down and be able to use all that money that the seller is giving them instead of doing the long-term buy down, because in a year they may refinance or maybe 2 years.
Yeah, the buy downs to me, the long run don't really make a lot of sense, but you never know. People have their own thoughts on these things. So, but it makes them feel good. Look, it's a sales pitch. If it gets a buyer into the deal, then that's
And I break down for them, what does the long-term buy down do versus the short-term buy down, right? And if they're going to refinance, then the long term just doesn't pay out. It just doesn't make sense. Now, when during COVID and we had 2.5%, and I remember I was doing some of the VA loans under 2% because they were, going on and paying an extra point. And all of a sudden they were getting that 1.875. It was like, yep, buy it down. This is probably going to be the last loan you do. You don't need to get out of this until you sell your house or for some reason you need to refinance, but leave that loan alone. Under 2%.
Oof. Yeah. Imagine under 2%.
Yeah.
Really nice. Okay, so I see we have a guest on the call. Janiqua Nettles, I see you're unmuted. Do you have any questions or anything we'll help you with today?
Hi, Janika. Welcome to our call today.
We're big on calling people out and getting involved. It's kind of like family here. We're all supposed to be helping each other out. So if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat box or just ask questions. We'd love to help here.
Yeah, and one of the things that was coming up a lot was, what's actually included in the closing costs, because when we tell them, what they're looking at, it seems kind of high. But then once we start breaking it down, you're talking about escrow fees, title fees, your first year premium of homeowners insurance. If you're buying a condo, then you're probably going to pay the first 2 months of HOA dues and, your year of homeowners insurance and whatever loan fees there might be, like underwriting, loan processing. Up front, you have to pay your appraisal, your inspections. So that alone is well over $1,000. So once we start breaking down the costs, then it starts to make sense. But if you just throw out a number like, yeah, you're going to need to pay maybe 2%, of the purchase price towards closing costs, that kind of seems like a high number. But once we start breaking it down and categorizing it, then it's easier to, to understand. And the buyers that were coming through were not confused afterward. At first they seem kind of shocked, right? But then afterward, we break it down for them and let them know what adds up to the 8,000 or 10,000 in closing costs. And so sometimes, there is a technicality there where maybe the buyer has to contribute a certain amount of money towards the deal, and they may be capped on what the seller can contribute if they are getting some kind of concessions. So those are all things that we will run through the lender, through Gustavo, and see, what kind of deal can be worked out, what kind of financing the buyers are going to get, what their closing costs are going to look like. And that way they're well prepared and coming into the, the home buying market. I spent a lot of time on the phone this week and last week, just going over all of the processes and contacting people individually, giving them a one-on-one consultation. And this way it's, it's more understandable. And I think it's easier for them to grasp once you break it down fully.
Yeah. There's no substitute for preparation and communication. If everybody's on the same page, the whole thing goes a lot easier.
Yeah, and it's just, like you said, it's just breaking it down and so that they can realize what's going to still benefit them, because taxes, even though it's a cost, it's still something that they're going to have to pay. Their home insurance, right?
Taxes?
It's still
They pay taxes?
exactly.
What?
Their home insurance, right? It's getting prepaid up front, but it's still part of, their house. It's going to take care of that. So it's kind of like just telling someone, this car costs $50,000, and it just sounds a lot, and you're like, forget it. But if you break down what the car does, the safety features, what it's going to do, excuse me, then it starts making sense as to what it does. Especially if it's electric, you're like, okay, I'm going to have some of the benefits here and there, and then you start getting into understanding fully what that is going to get them. Right. So it's definitely something that we need to do, and not just give them the cost. But I like to break down where it's going, escrow account, and what is that money going for, and it's still benefiting them. It's not going to my pocket.
No.
Yeah.
Too bad. A little bit.
I know, right?
A little tip or something goes to you.
Yeah. Tip jar.
Exactly. Okay, well, I don't see any questions in the chat boxes, our social media. This is being live streamed on Facebook. I see the Probate Experts, a couple people. I see Patricia's Facebook, a couple people watching as well. So if you have questions, you can put them in the chat box and we'll respond to them here live on the call. Or if you're watching a replay, put your questions in there and we'll get to you guys afterwards. But I don't see any outstanding questions. I think we're up to date as far as that goes right now. And in the Zoom live, I don't see any questions either. So I think unless there's anything else, anything you want to wrap up with, Patricia, any particular comments, questions?
I just wanted to say, I see your message, Janika. So that's great. You're listening in today and you don't have any questions right now. So thank you for joining. No, I think, we've given a lot of information today, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm usually always available, and I can be reached at 323-365-9909. This is a great time to look into purchasing a home if you haven't already. It's very easy to get a pre-qualification letter once you have all of your documents together and sent them over to us. Then it's not much longer after that to get your pre-qualification and just kind of see what the scenario is that you may qualify for. And if it's not something that you're necessarily looking into immediately, we can help create that roadmap for you so that you can see what it looks like a few months down the line.
Fantastic. And Gustavo, any last words for our callers today?
Yeah, actually too, we also got a new conforming loan limit, so it's a little bit higher now. So in this market, it really helps out. We live in Orange County and LA, where we have some high county areas. So in LA and Orange County, the new limit is $1,089,300. So any loan amount below that, that's still going to be a conforming loan. So that means, the best possible rates. Whenever you go into jumbo rates change. There's more requirements, a little bit more due diligence because, loan amounts are getting higher and over $1.1 million. So that's for LA and Orange County. And then for the surrounding areas like Riverside, we have $726,200. So everything got, adjusted. It helps out. So definitely an opportunity still.
So if you thought you're looking at a jumbo loan, you might not be now because it went up a little bit. You might be in that
Exactly.
range. So definitely take a look at it, go back and refigure those numbers.
Exactly. That's right.
Great. Well, thank you so much. For me, I would just say, if you're looking to invest in real estate, it's a great event a week from tomorrow. The LA County Real Estate Association has a meeting every second Thursday of the month in Culver City area. You can go to LAREIC.com for details. It's free. I'll be there. I'm a vendor. I'm the official podcaster of the event. So if you're there, come up and say hi and tell me you saw me here. And realtors invited, investors, and new prospective investors who want to learn. There's a speaker who every month who talks about how to get started in the business. So if you're interested, I'd love to see you there. Come up and say hi. Otherwise, we do this every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We put it on social media. It's on Patricia's Facebook. If you're lucky enough to get into her Facebook world, then or Instagram or wherever, you'll see her there. And Gustavo as well. It's on YouTube. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat box. I always hope to see you guys next week. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.